There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Oh, what's up, and welcome into episode number 158 of the Program Guys Podcast. My name is Mason Prince, joined with you, as always, by Patrick Hertzberger, Mark Hall, no Matt Gann, no Ryan Tyson this week. Today is Thursday, January 16th. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. Gentlemen, we are back. We are here. Another week for the boys. How we doing?
Matt, what's the last thing that we posted on TikTok?
Ooh, good question.
Now that TikTok is like dying, we're losing it.
Yeah.
What
That's
it's a relic now for us.
Yeah. TikTok, let's look at some stats here.
We're gonna go to
Probably like
Guangzhou, the Chinese.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
I don't.
Yeah,
I've
that's his
been
name.
loving the screenshots that I see on X, the Everything app.
So we have 8,537 likes on TikTok, 1,481 followers.
Hell yeah.
Our last TikTok was a
How'd we
week
do
ago.
A week ago.
Not bad.
It was my 10-2 prediction,
Oh, hell yeah. Good job, man.
which I also tweeted. Also, by the way,
Saw
if
that.
you're just now tuning in, didn't watch last week, I did predict the Oklahoma Sooners would go 10-2 next season. Hot
Go
take.
watch the episode. He's resolute.
is.
Before that, though, August 2024 was the last
We didn't
one.
post the whole season? Yikes, that's tough.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
tough look for us.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's TikTok.
hey, we got 1,400 followers. Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
That's good. That's more than I was expecting.
It's all right. Just wait. Mr. Wonderful is about to buy TikTok. It's not gonna go away. It's gonna.
My goodness.
I'll make sure to make a post on
He's like, you know
TikTok
what?
for
We'll
them.
make a better algorithm.
Uh,
Unreal. Unreal. Like you were
Hey.
just the Shark Tank guy, man.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah, dude. Freaking crazy.
I think he said the algorithm would be wonderful. I like legitimately. That's
Amazing.
how he worded it.
No notes. No notes. Just you play the hits, man. You know what works.
No, it's great, man. These guys in charge of social media always works. It
Dude,
always works.
it's so good.
Best case.
It's so good. Okay.
Crazy
we-
view into us.
Yeah. Thanks for joining the show, by the way. If you're here with us, we appreciate you. Comment down below.
Boomer
if you-
sooner.
If you have anything to add to our show today, we always enjoy reading your comments. Boys, what do we have to talk about? Oklahoma still doesn't have a defensive coordinator. The transfer portal has seemed to slow down. I saw an article today pretty much asking if OU is done in the transfer portal, and I didn't care enough to click on it. But also thought it was interesting. I think it was Pete Nakos at On3 rated the biggest need filled via the transfer portal, and Jackson Arnold at
Oklahoma
Auburn was
and
number
Auburn.
one. And Oklahoma was down with John Mateer.
I think it was flipped. But it's like, if we're on the list for that, why is he on the list at all?
Yeah. No, I'm telling you right now, Jackson Arnold to Auburn, or Auburn was number one. In terms of filling their
he
needs.
was just in the picture. I think it was just Jackson in the picture.
I think Auburn was
Anyway,
one.
if you're right,
But
that's nuts.
regardless, it's just funny. But I don't know, man. It's a quiet time of year. I think winter workouts have started with Schmitty. So the
Probably.
boys are getting to work. All the young guys have moved in. They all had that outing at Brent Venable's house. The new class. Someone, I can't remember who, I wish I could give them credit, put a name to each face in the group picture. And
That's
that was
Stoops
super.
Bros. Stoops Bros always does that.
There you go.
He's the man.
Yeah, that was dope. Cool. Shout out to Stoops Bros. But yeah, go ahead, Pat. I feel like you were trying to jump in, and I'm
Yeah, I
just
mean,
yapping.
it looked like a pretty lame party, but I hope they had fun.
Yeah, at your head coach's house.
Yeah, I mean, what do
Yeah.
you
What are you
expect?
expecting, man?
Okay, I didn't know it was at his house. I was like, are they
Yeah.
at like another bowling alley? I know that's like what they do now. So
No, they go to Brent's house and he has a bunch of like arcade games and pool and
okay,
all that
that's cool.
stuff. And they do that.
I'm sure they cater dinner, have a great
yeah,
time. Look,
yeah.
Pat, don't act like you wouldn't love to be just a fly on the
Right.
wall in that room.
I would love to be
You
there.
would come back and be like, "Oh my God, guys, I am in love with Giovanni Gibson. He is gonna be
Yeah.
a star."
Pat would
Like,
change
I
his
didn't know it.
Pat would change his prediction to 12-0. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm looking at this picture, and the tight ends are all in the back row, and they're all very tall. So that's cool, right?
Love that. That
Just
Well, we knew
analyzing
that
John
when
Locke
we
right
got him.
now and
Yeah.
Carson
Listen,
Kent.
that's-
These guys could play football. These guys might be football guys here.
I hope
Maybe.
so. I hope so.
You know, I like if we're gonna go like darts at the dartboard approach like we did versus a big fish. I like just getting a bunch of big dudes and seeing which one pans out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Just teach them to sit in a 5-yard zone and take over from there.
Right.
Isaiah
And-
Tegna looks
Satania.
Satania.
small. Satania.
He is small.
looks small.
He is small.
He's tiny.
He's like a $160 or something.
It's like
that.
590.
Yeah,
It's like 5'9".
Yeah, he's essentially an older version of oh my God, I'm spacing out.
Reagan's? Is that what you're getting? at?
Yeah, he's a older
Little bit.
version of Raggins. That's what he is.
A little bit. He moves. He's shown an ability to move against college football players that Zion just hasn't yet. I think the game's just too fast for him.
Yeah, and like you said, games too fast for him.
Forgot
He was a
faster.
freshman. He was a
Where's
freshman.
Emmett Jones?
Yeah. None of those receivers developed at all. Didn't feel like it.
So I have thoughts on Oklahoma hosted Denver Harris over the weekend, former 5-star cornerback. He ended up signing with UNLV like yesterday or Tuesday, and there were two different things that sort of came out of it that I saw. One was people being like, "Yeah, dude, more of this guy and less of the soul mission," because he's only stayed at any given school 1 year.
Yeah.
He's bounced around. but
Mercenary.
He's talented. You know, he's a merc. Exactly. He's a merc. And so that's interesting. I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think you can do both of those things. And then two, man, you picked UNLV over Oklahoma?
Yeah.
And we thought we needed to add a corner is another big one to me. I feel kind of good about the cornerback room if Gentry Williams returns and can play to form. What do you guys think about that? Because Eli Bowen's going to be a star again next season, I think.
Yeah, I think we just needed another body after Jaden Rowe and Kawhi Walker left. Right.
Kenai
So maybe
Walker.
that's
That's probably true.
So I think it's just a body thing, and then him going to UNLV over Oklahoma just signals to me he wasn't going to start. We just need another body.
I think that's a good
Oh,
point.
that's a great
And
point,
yeah,
too.
I think that's a good point. Is like they were looking for a body, and the price tag may have just been more than Oklahoma was willing to pay for a body. You know what I mean?
a great
So
point.
that could be it. But I agree with your points. I mean, Eli Bowen's the guy at one spot. We know that for sure. And if Gentry Williams does come back and shows any sort of promise, I mean, you got to feel good about where you're at in that room. Like
Suddenly
for
you
sure.
bring in Jacoby Johnson off the
Yeah.
bench again, and you know he's got
Noted
size,
wide
he
receiver.
can lock guys up.
Noted wide
Very good
receiver.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yep. And then also Mikael Patterson comes back from the portal.
Yeah.
He's also a cornerback. So it's kind of like both things happened very close to one another, making me feel like I don't know like what the order was here, but Mikel's back for a reason. I think it's probably because we didn't land Denver Harris, maybe.
Well, and I'd like to see us go for or give some snaps to Jeremiah Newcomb and Devin Jordan out of Tulsa. Why sign those guys if you're not going
Right.
to give them opportunities? I mean, I wanted to see Jaden Rowe get opportunities, but why have those guys? if
See,
you're
and
not
that's
gonna play 'em?
going to be my problem in this new transfer portal era is if you're going to quote unquote spend the money on some of these transfers and they don't see the field, that's wasted to me. That's wasted money you could have spent on some other big name in the portal to get them to come to you. So you, like NFL free agency, have to hit on that stuff. You cannot bring in dudes who you are paying actual US currency to, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to play. They're just a body. Recruit a young guy. If you just need a body, recruit a larger recruiting class. That's the where I'm at with that whole thing.
Or bring in a guy who's in the portal and you think you found like someone who will come do it.
Right.
This didn't seem like, to y'all's point, you've opened my eyes, someone who was going to come do that. He needs to play so that he can get to the next level.
Yeah. While we're on it, speaking of the next level, Quinn Ewers leaving is kind of wild, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's wild.
He'd make more in 1 year.
Yeah.
At,
I'm not saying he should have
Bama's
stayed at
school.
Texas. I'm not saying he should have stayed at
Damn.
Texas. I'm saying after the year he had and how hard he had fallen, to be like, yeah, now's the time to go to the draft. That's crazy to me. That's just so crazy. I don't understand it. I really don't.
I totally agree. Go get $4 million out of North Carolina and play for Bill Belichick.
You just saw Carson bum-ass Beck make $4 million from Miami.
And Quinn's
What
better
did
than
that
Carson
dude?
Beck.
What did that dude do last year? Nothing. He did nothing. He was carried by a solid Georgia team and propped up. It's
He
crazy.
regressed in much the same way Quinn did. People had Quinn as a possible first rounder, projecting growth this season, and we just didn't really see it. And the idea that Ohio State wouldn't pay you to come replace Will Howard after the season,
Yes.
or Oregon wouldn't pay you to come replace Dylan Gabriel after the season, or name your school that wants to be relevant and ready quickly, they would pay you more than the likely day 2 contract you're going to sign is going to pay you total.
Yeah.
And you're going to come out on the other side looking better for it.
That's
Carson Beck ended up declaring for the draft and then entered the portal. I think we could see something happen like that here, where cooler heads prevail, and it's like, no, dude, let's go get some money first.
Yeah, that's my whole thing is your draft stock was so damaged. Your rookie contract will not be bigger than whatever you're going to make one more year in college. It's impossible. There's no way it will be. And if you're just out there and you're like, oh, because the reason to go to the NFL is to be like, okay, time to go get my big money, like the big money contract. And you're not going to get that. So why not take advantage of the system that you're dealt before they figure this crap out and go milk some school for all they're worth? That's
He
the
was
whole
the first
point.
to do it. Remember, he reclassified to join Ohio State in the spring of his senior year, freshman, whatever it is, and cashed in before transferring to Texas. Yeah. You would think they'd be on top of this, that Quinn and his people. But Texas, I mean, that was always happening, right?
He was never.
It's the Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Arnold plan, but they're both just better.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I just thought that was great. Steve Sarkisian, it seems less and less likely to get the Dallas Cowboys job now. I feel like that's kind of cooled off. Yeah. Especially now that the Dion rumors floating around, which would be insane, which would just be so fun to watch him navigate Jerry Jones in an NFL franchise.
And the report is
shocked.
Jerry is just riding solo on the coaching search. He's just like in his 80s thinking life is a movie about him and he's going to get it right on his own and for his last hire or something.
Dude, man.
There's a lot of people who do serious jobs in that organization, and that's an insane way to install leadership for those people. You're going to see people leave.
I'm a big believer in Mike McCarthy, though. Sorry, we've gotten way off the rails here, but I'm a believer in Mike McCarthy. Depending on where he goes, like
You mean Chicago Bears head coach
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy?
yeah,
I think that's
I
going to
think
happen.
I think that I don't know. I think that works. That division's tough, obviously, but I I would really like that hire if I was the Bears. But
He puts a lot on the quarterback, and
he does.
Caleb's always had it made a little easy for him. So it'd be a grind for Caleb.
True.
But he's good with quarterbacks.
Yeah, he is. That's true. Okay, back to OU. Where am
Guys,
I at?
we're an Oklahoma football podcast.
I know.
Welcome to the offseason.
Yeah, I know. Where are we at now? No defensive coordinator yet. Mark, you made a point about it that you said in our group that I wanted you to touch on.
Yeah, dude. So I didn't really buy into the Jim Knowles thing until we still don't have a defensive coordinator hired. And if you don't know, there's been rumor abound on OU Twitter and all of that Jim Knowles is the guy for Oklahoma defensive coordinator. It's why we're not really hearing too many other names. They're waiting for that to play out. And I didn't really buy it at first, but no one is coming forward and being named DC. And I thought perhaps it would be the Penn State defensive coordinator, someone in the playoff, but not him. Or maybe they go and steal Patrick's guy at Tennessee, who just actually signed an extension to stay at Tennessee. It seems like it has to be Knowles now.
Yeah.
And if we accept that point, what does that mean for the defense? Because Jim Knowles and Brent Venables don't run the same defense. So who's acquiescing to who? And then why are we hiring Jim Knowles if we're not going to run his?
Mhm.
Why do we have all the other guys that know Brent's system if we're running Jim Knowles? It's weird to me. So
And then-
I'm interested. Go ahead. I'm interested to see it play out.
Yeah, and then not only that, but most likely asking Jim Knowles or telling him he can't bring any of his guys with him. Maybe one or two analysts, but they're not
As
replacing
coaches.
position coaches,
Mhm.
Yes.
right?
Right.
So I don't know if Jim Knowles is even in consideration at this point, just because of those factors. Like, why would he want to come to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, though. Because who's
Well,
the
his
next coach
family's
at the
from
University of
Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma if this doesn't work out? It's Jim Knowles.
I think it's
Because
been
Ryan Day's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Day's now not going anywhere.
Now
not
he's not
after
going anywhere.
not
Now
after
not
this.
going anywhere.
Yeah.
But
after his national championship.
Yeah.
I would go to OU.
All the stuff that you guys said makes me just like it makes sense, Mark. Like it how delayed it is. How is it not Knowles at this point? But also, like to the other point you made, he's gonna get here. What system do you run? Do you make a dude come in and run your system that we know was working? Why would you change that system is my question. So at this point, do you hire just a dude who you know and trust, or do you try to go make the splash and get a name like Knowles? I don't get the Knowles thing at this point in time because of the fact that he's not get for all of the reasons that we said why Zach Alley left to run his own show. Why would Knowles come in if he's not going to quote unquote run his own show? That's my question. I don't think Brent would give up the system that he runs and be like, yeah, you go ahead and do what you want to do. Let's reteach these kids everything I've been teaching them the last 3 years in the most critical point in my coaching career this year. That just doesn't make sense.
I think it's more like
Jim Knowles is the 8th highest paid coach in college, like defensive coordinator in college football. So we would have to likely top that, right? 2024 salary was $1.9 million. So you're telling me we're throwing $2 million at a defensive coordinator yearly? Can't that just be put towards better players.
Right.
And you don't have this fusion of systems that, frankly, the last time we saw was Seth Luttrell
Right.
and Jackson Arnold trying to come up with an offense. I don't like the reasoning here.
The more we talk
you
about
know,
it,
I
the
think
more,
I would actually. What's crazy is I would be calling out BS on continuity if he had hired Wes Goodwin, but at least then we'd have clarity on defense.
Mhm.
And I think our defense is going to be stellar. Go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry.
oh no, you're good. I don't think it happens after just talking through this. Like, I don't think we pay a guy over $2 million to come in and run a different defense than Brent has.
Why not? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to this, and maybe we can talk this out. Think about why not give a guy like Todd Bowles the reins, quote unquote. Let him be your
Todd
defensive.
Bates.
What did I say?
Todd Bowles.
Jeez, dude, I did it again.
I was like, whoa.
I did it again. Todd Bates, give Todd Bates the reins, give him a quote unquote promotion, and let him be the quasi defensive coordinator. What's wrong with that?
I don't think anything is, except that he's not done it in any kind of way before, and seems content to be co-DC defensive line coach.
Okay.
I keep seeing Brandon Hall, and that seems fine to me. I don't have any disqualifying reasons for not going Brandon Hall, except you got to get a new safeties coach or linebackers coach, whatever you need.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Jim Knowles is sexy, but it's not the pick that I think is best.
The more I talk it out, the less I like it. Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I would agree. I don't see it happening, but it is just odd that we've heard nothing from anyone, no one on the beat, no one in the program. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But
Crickets.
I'm not panicking about it either. It just doesn't really.
I'm not really
I'm not
panicked
panicked.
either. I don't feel panicked. Especially, you're through signing day. The new class is already here. Like it. I
You
just
didn't lose anyone.
Yeah. Which like
Lewis Carter hit the portal, which sucks.
Yeah.
It does, but we're gonna be okay at linebacker.
For all of the hell that Brent deserves for some of the decisions he made, him and this staff deserve a ton of credit for that retention on the defensive side. Ton of credit. That's all in today's day and age. That's hard. And that's what tells me whatever Brent is selling is working inside the locker room. It's just not resulting to on-field performance on the offensive side of the ball mainly. But dude, those guys buy in. They buy into that coaching staff. They buy into Brent. They want to be here. And that's impressive. Truly it is. Like Dominic Williams staying is wild to me. That's crazy. Highly impressive. I did not think that would happen. I thought he'd go try to chase a bag somewhere. But I don't know.
For all the crap Brent's been getting for losing coordinators every year, his staff on both sides of the ball has mainly stayed the same, besides Gundy leaving. And we hired a good replacement for that. I mean, kind of Jerry's still out, but a decently good replacement for that. So like,
Good recruit.
everyone has stayed.
Recruits. I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, you can point at all of those and see why they either failed or just didn't work. I mean, Ted Roof wasn't a failure, but it wasn't very good, right? Jeff Lebby left because he became a head coach. We had a top 10 offense that last season with Jeff Lebby.
Yeah.
So that's an offensive coordinator leaving for an upgrade. That is not like, oh, we got to replace this guy, 3 and 4 years, whatever the number is. You want those kind of moves. And I mean, now it just comes down to this, right? It's only one more year. That's all it gets to kind of show it's different. And they already gave him the extension, so hopefully they wouldn't throw another at him because we've seen how precarious the numbers get.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead, Pat.
To my point though, of like no other coaches leaving, I was hoping by this point Joe John Finley and DeMarco Murray would be gone.
Joe
I
John
thought for
Finley,
sure Joe John would.
Joe John still here is wild.
It's
I just-
crazy.
It's insane. It really is. I
It-
just don't know what you saw out of the job he did last year and be like, you know what, this is a guy we got to keep.
Who's the tight end who's improved?
None.
Well, I don't want them involved in the game plan. I don't want DeMarco Murray involved in the game plan. I don't want Joe John Finley involved in the game plan at all. Because they have bad game plans.
I want to know.
Yeah, I
I just want to know, like, what a practice with DeMarco Murray is like. Like, where is his head? Like, how is the running back rotation like decided?
formulated.
Yeah, I want to know what that formula is. Maybe it would make me feel better about him if I knew what it was. And you love what DeMarco was for Oklahoma when he was playing for Oklahoma, but like to Ryan's point that he's made for a while now, what has he done? What has he done?
Eric Gray is probably the only undisputed success,
Yeah.
right? And he comes in the portal and does get better under DeMarco's tutelage. He's now a successful NBA or NFL player, but you look at everyone else, and Javante Barnes was at his best maybe his freshman season. Gavin Sawchuk was at his best maybe his freshman season. How does that work? How does that happen? And then you get to this season, and Taylor Tatum is hitting the field even though he loses the ball half the time he touches it. We don't even see Xavier Robinson until the Alabama game in any kind of extended opportunity. And by then you're wasting his red shirt just because you need a back. Why was that not identified earlier in the season? Put to practice, put to play earlier in the season. And it's the same thing with Joe John, man. How many guys are you not going to give an opportunity to so that you can keep playing Bauer Sharp, who clearly is not doing the right things when given opportunities to do so? Where's Cade McIntyre? Where's Caden Helms? Where's the dynamite blocker Devon Mitchell? None of these guys are better than Bauer Sharp. Then these are problems because you've recruited all those guys.
Yeah.
You got them all in the building and haven't made any of them better.
It's either you're a bad developer or you're a bad evaluator of talent. It's one of the two. It can't be neither. It can't be, because we see what's out there.
And it might be both.
It could be. It could be. But it's not neither. That's for darn sure. It's crazy, man.
You know what it sounds like to me? More than anything, is they are waiting for someone else to come and hire him so they don't have to pay a buyout. I think that is the likeliest scenario. And he still has to come to work and go run recruiting trips and all of that stuff for the University of Oklahoma, and they don't have to pay 2 salaries.
Yeah.
Right. I get that. That's fair.
Save money for Jim Knowles.
Yeah, save money. All right. You guys want to talk a little natty before we kind of get our MVPs on? Yeah,
Go
cool.
dinner.
Okay. Ohio State, Notre Dame. That's the national championship. I did not see Notre Dame coming. I just did not. And I don't know if that's due to my lack of attention paid to Notre Dame throughout the year or that they've really turned it on as of late. But credit to them. I think Ohio State wins the game. I'm still not impressed with Will Howard at all. But I think Ohio State has the horses. I don't know.
Well, Will Howard's looked a lot better since the Michigan game. In the
Yeah.
playoffs, he's looked very good, I think. And, they hold Jeremiah Smith to a catch for 3 yards in that last game, and he's still able to find the open guy and score and, keep them in the game against Texas or ahead against Texas the whole way. And then Jack Sawyer finishes the thing off. I thought Notre Dame was going to lose to Penn State.
So did I.
If Drew Aller doesn't throw that pick, I sort of think Notre Dame loses to Penn State. And Ohio State has much better horses than Penn State does. Much better on the fronts, out wide, all over the place. They've got 2 NFL running backs. They're both really good backs. I just think Ohio State kind of stomps them.
What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I think after the Michigan game, Chip Kelly looked himself in the mirror and was like, I'm just never going to allow a team to outscore me again, or at least not this season. His game planning has been much better than his opponents. We saw that in Oregon, saw it against Tennessee. Saw it a little bit at the beginning against Notre Dame. Or not Notre Dame, Penn State. No, who they just play? Goodness.
Ohio State played Texas.
Texas, was able to stop them here and there, but at the beginning, you could see that like Chip's first drive again, incredible. So, yeah, I think it's really if Ohio State gets off to a hot start like they have been, I think they run away with it pretty easily. I'm not impressed with the weapons Notre Dame has compared to the weapons that Ohio State has.
I think Caleb Downs probably either picks the ball off or hits the shit out of Riley Leonard because Riley Leonard's going to think he can run on them the way you can. A lot of defenses.
Jack Sawyer's fun. Jack Sawyer's a lot of fun. That's the dude who's going to get paid a lot of money on Sundays, I think. But yeah.
Him being Quinn's former roommate at Ohio State and then making that play, dude, that's awesome. That's
so
fantastic.
cool.
Doing that
So
to
great.
the Texas quarterback, I don't like Ohio State, but I like you, my man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I have Ohio State. I think we all have Ohio State for the most part.
Yeah.
Right.
They are,
But they're also a
8-point
beatable
favorites
team.
for a reason.
think
Yeah,
they're
I
also
mean,
a beatable
again,
team.
we made the point last year, dude. Or last week.
8-point.
These quarterbacks, man, are just not. They don't wow you, and it shows. You don't need does a god tier quarterback help you? Sure, but if the team around him is terrible, it's not going to matter. You're not going to win games. Look at Cam Ward in Miami. Cam Ward's great. He might be the number 1 overall pick. The team around him is garbage. They're not good. It's crazy. Even I don't think he's great, but I'll give you Shedeur, or I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's first round talent. Shedeur Sanders is another example. A very good quarterback with not a great team around him, and they're not any good. They're not good. So build your team. That's the message to Oklahoma. The way you're building, I support. Build your defense. Have a great defense. Look at those Alabama teams of old. Not the Tuas and the Mac Jones and the Jalen Hurts, but before that, they were trying AJ
McElroys,
dude, the McElroys,
McCarron.
the AJ McCarrons, dude, you don't need a god back there, a quarterback. You just need a dude who's gonna run the system and not F up. That's what you need.
From
And
a
I
talent
got both.
perspective, these two teams are worse than from a national championship talent perspective. I think these two teams are worse than what we've seen in a long time.
I don't know what it is. That's a really good point, Pat, because
NIL.
watching
NIL
this college football playoff, it's weird, man. I'm watching this football. I'm like, this is not good football. These are not impressive teams. And maybe that's the point. Maybe you want it to be more competitive. You want more parity. I get it. But look at that Georgia team that Oklahoma played in the Rose Bowl, dogs. That Alabama team that Kyler Murray played, dogs. The LSU team that Jalen Hurts played, dogs. We
49ers.
don't have those teams aren't around.
Yeah.
Those
Right.
teams aren't
Agreed.
around.
I think Washington last year beats these two teams in the national championship.
I agree. I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I think
you're probably
It's
right.
3 NFL receivers
Yeah.
on those teams.
Yeah.
With the
I think
offensive
it's
firepower,
rocket.
with the offensive firepower they had, oh yeah.
And maybe
they had
it's
NFL
because-
players on defense too.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but maybe it's because it's just too much, too many playoff games.
Maybe.
It feels there's no such thing as too much football, but might be too much. It's hard to be here to play this many high stakes games so far. They didn't get a bye week, so they're going into game 4 of a playoff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games. You're right. For the four in a row, that's like this is the tournament sort of thing. It's what the NFL has. And these guys are as professionalized as they've ever been or ever will be. I mean,
You're
I
compensated.
don't I think 8 was the right number, not 12. But in the world we have, I think the 12 team playoff, other than some seeding issues, has kind of worked. We've
I can
had
agree with
some
that.
compelling games now that we've left the first round, and I think by next season they'll fix some of that.
Yeah.
And it is just a little weird that throughout the entire playoff, the entire season, we didn't see anyone like the prime Nick Saban Alabama teams, like the Georgia teams. You know, someone who just clearly has all the talent. I think it's because you can't. No one team can afford it
Not
all.
anymore.
Ohio
Yeah.
State is pretty damn close to it, and that's why they're where they're at. But everyone's got enough money to make someone a priority.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to sign with Alabama now.
It's a really good point. It's a really, really good point, actually. That's something I didn't really think about. Because like, you know, in the day and age now that we're in, like you would think, oh, guys want to go where they're gonna win. Like, no, guys are gonna go where they're paid the most. And not the Georgia Bulldogs can't pay everyone on their offensive line a certain amount. Can't pay everybody on the defensive line a certain amount. Like you have to pick and choose what matters to you. And it's gonna look more and more like the NFL product, I think. I think there's gonna be a lot more parity and it's gonna make teams a lot closer. Now when they fix the NIL stuff, who knows? But yeah, I think the parity is just gonna increase and you're gonna see like the Blue Bloods will stay the Blue Bloods, but the closeness of them all, like you're not going to see that 2019 LSU team. You're just not going to see that.
Right. And you're not going to see dynasties. Every year is just a reload at this point. And that's not even an NIL question. That's more of a player retention and can you make them stay question. The courts have said, no, you can't. So something else would have to change here to make that happen. But it's weird to me that none of the SEC teams were good enough to get there. That what we're left with here is
Respectfully,
Ohio State. All credit to them. Ohio State looks like the best team in football.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame.
Yeah. Respectfully, obviously I'm an SEC guy, but those SEC teams weren't close. I did not think, and I'm going to sound like a hater, but I don't care. I just did not think Texas was the team that everybody wanted them to be. I just didn't see it. I didn't see it all year long. And mainly it's because of Quinn. Mainly, I'll give them credit. The team around Quinn I thought was very talented. I just never thought Quinn was good enough to make them the monster they should have been. And I think that was their problem.
And also they were on the goal line, down a touchdown in the fourth quarter with very little time left.
Sure.
And to your point then, it's Quinn Ewers who gives the game away.
Sure.
You know, it's I think Sarkisian is freaking good at his job, and they've recruited a bunch of monsters on that team. So I think that's a real team, and all we can do is hope Arch Manning is a total bust.
Is a bust. That's what you got to hope
Just
for.
Complete bust.
It's just what you got to hope for. Okay. Anything else before we go to PGP MVPs?
I don't think so.
Cool. Let's go MVP of the week. Go ahead, Pat. Who's your MVP, man?
Yeah, I've got LVP.
Okay.
And that's Justin Herbert and anyone who thinks he's good at football.
Preach.
I don't care that he's got an arm, stature, doesn't matter. His build, I don't care. If you look at the last 4 years of Herbert, what has he done? What has he led his team to do?
People are asking.
You had a better roster and a better team going into Houston, and you crapped the bed.
Into Houston.
And I'm sorry, I've never been a fan. I've never understood the hype. Not like personally against him. He's fine. But I've never understood the hype. Sure, he can throw the ball far. So can the Tennessee Joe Milton.
Yeah.
Cool. He's not a
Who might
starting
be
quarterback. And I know that Herbert's
getting
better than Joe
opportunities.
Milton, but goodness gracious, he's not good at football. He doesn't deserve the praise, the commercials that he's had. That's it.
I agree. I agree. I just
Patrick, can you name anyone who's called plays for Justin Herbert?
He's had bad coaches, but he doesn't right now.
he's got a dude who's been to a Super Bowl and won a national title as his head coach now.
Called plays is what I said. I was very specific with the phrasing.
Look, I don't care. He
'cause I
threw
can't.
5 picks. Or like 4.
Oh, dude, that was
maybe
terrible.
3.
I'm not suggesting it wasn't terrible. I am suggesting he's like a big ball of clay. And there's a lot there that you cannot deny is great stuff. His arm might be one of the best arms in football, just as far as like throwing a good deep ball. Same time, he threw 5 picks, man. So something's not there. And I think it's up top.
It reminds me of the
and I think
conversations
it's-
we've had about Jackson Arnold.
It's the conversation that was surrounding Justin Herbert when he was drafted.
Yeah.
It's all of the physical tools are there. Mentally, can he adapt? And everyone shut the hell up about that stuff because he was throwing for 4,000 yards a year on terrible teams because he was just throwing deep balls to people and throwing it deep, chucking it deep, and to his credit, throwing good balls. He was throwing good passes. His arm talent is never going to be the question.
3 passes a game that make you fall in love.
Yeah. But when you're playing a dude like D'Amico Ryans, who knows how to call a defense, he buckles. He buckles. And that's been the knock on him. That's been the knock. And it continues to be. Now, if there's anybody who can mold that ball of clay, like Mark said, I think it's Harbaugh. Now, again, to Mark's point, he's not calling the plays. So can you get a dude in there who's going to call plays and call them in the right way for him? I don't know.
I don't know
Just-
who their OC is right now.
Not with Harbaugh's mentality of run first. They're not.
It's Greg Roman, man.
Oh yeah.
It's Greg Roman. They want him to be Colin Kaepernick
Hey, yikes.
or Alex Smith, right?
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do the Texans have
Grind.
a shot against the Chiefs?
Yeah. I
The
think
Chiefs
they do.
haven't looked good all year. That said, I don't expect it.
Yeah, I don't expect them to go into
Why
Kansas
would
City.
we?
I don't expect them to go into Kansas City and win. Now, I don't know. Does the Chiefs starters not playing the last week of the season and then having a bye week, does that affect them? That's an interesting point. I'd be curious to figure out. But I don't know.
When's the last time the Chiefs impressed you guys this season?
Oh,
Like for an entire game? Maybe it's just
I don't think they have.
they haven't.
I don't think
they
they
can
have.
win games at the end of them better than anyone in football.
And to their,
Maybe
and to
that's
their
all you got to
credit-
do.
And to their credit,
But-
that's what championship teams do. You win no matter what, and they have, and you got to give them that credit. But like someone tweeted like Pat Mahomes stats since what's his name Nagy has become the offensive coordinator. They're abysmal. They're disgusting compared to what he was doing before Nagy got there, which is hysterical because like that dude ruined the Bears and now he's like just trying to ruin.
How is your
Patrick
presence such an anchor on someone we were calling the greatest?
Dude, it's crazy. It's so crazy. But a long way to answer a short question, Pat. I think they do have a shot. And I would not be surprised if they walk out with a win just because, to Mark's point, what have the Chiefs done this year to make you be like, oh, yeah, they're the Super Bowl champs again?
Yeah,
like, I just don't see it. But I could be wrong. Mark, who's your MVP?
MVP is the second in the Western Conference. Houston Rockets. Bang, bang, baby. Ime Udoka has these guys playing inspired basketball. Amin Thompson has come in to the starting lineup here and there. He's played a ton and really brought a level of energy, athleticism, length, and ferocity that elevates the entire team. Jalen Green has been playing much better the last month or so than I think any of us really expected him to find this season. And Ime Udoka just has him firing on all cylinders. So it is an exciting time to be a Rockets fan, man. MVP, the Houston Rockets.
Love that. My MVP. Oh my God, I had it and I just lost it. Oh, the show Severance. What a television program.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
seen
God. I binged
Cassie wants
it.
to watch it.
I binged it, watched the full first season in like 2 nights. And man, Ben Stiller, kudos to Ben Stiller, man. Just so great. That
Is he
cast,
the director?
yeah, that cast
Okay.
rocks. They're a great cast. Just really good show. I don't want to spoil anything at all, so that's really all
No,
I'm
Mason's
going to say.
must watch. Let's do it.
The new season comes out on Friday. The first episode. And waiting a week between each episode is going to be absolutely brutal.
Goodness.
But just a fantastic television program. Cannot recommend it enough. Really good. I enjoyed it a lot. That's my MVP.
I need to go watch Daredevil before Daredevil Born Again because I
yeah.
want to watch Born Again.
Yep.
That's just a TV show thought.
Yeah. I need to get back
American
on my Marvel
Primeval.
stuff.
You got to watch it.
What is
tried,
this?
Dude, I tried to get Katie to watch it last night and we watched the preview and she was just like, I'm not in
It's
the
brutal.
mindset.
It's not.
She goes, I'm not in the mindset for that right now. And I was like, you know what? That's fair. So we put on Rush Hour.
Oh, dude, I watched Rush Hour last night. Classic.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Did you hear the words coming out of my mouth?
Oh, it's so good.
American.
Primeval.
How do you say this?
Primeval. Yeah.
Primeval?
Primeav.
Brother, we might be into this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
But I would say it's
Very
more
cool.
it's more of a gentleman's show for sure.
More of a gentleman show. Okay. Good to know.
Gentlemen's
Good to know. A gentleman's agreement. Huzzah. All right, boys.
The
Anything
show to
else
sit down with the boys and watch.
That's right. Anything else before we get out of here? Perfect.
Boomer Sooner, man.
Boomer Sooner.
Long off season, man.
Like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z. You can find us on all of our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We will see you next week. That's going to do it. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.